By the way, your audio was a little bit light. I don't know if that's because the tractor is running in the background or.
Well, I'm lucky it's working at all, so that's the way that goes.
Okay. Well, as far as progress on my side, I guess I just realized that I've got sort of 3 irons in the fire at the moment. I am working on my electronics box. I'm not sure. Are you getting this like 3-pane window? It's not what I wanted to show. Or are you just getting one slide?
3-pane window.
Dangnabbit. If I do slideshow, why does it do that? Oh, because it's on this other screen. Well, let's move this over here and do still 3. Wants to go my display 2. I don't want it to go to display 2. Well, I'll do the best we can with this. Quit fighting with that.
So up under slideshow, I think there's a menu item under slideshow or view, one of those two where you can switch it. Yeah, there you go. Try display settings right there. Swap. There you go.
Ah,
Hey,
awesome. That's out of sequence a little bit, but so the 3 things that I'm working on at the moment is modeling and manufacturing a bracket to hold the Super Servo 500. I mean, what's in the presentation is the 3D model of that, and then so I printed that, and I'll ship that off to the welder guy, and that gets mounted below the frame. There are 2 holes there, and so I would put, so the frame would be here, 2 holes here, and then back here would be the transmission, and so the rod would be going up and down. So that's currently on my one machine, and so I've basically replicated that, and so that I can have it made for tractor number 2. This is a 3D model and 3D print of the motor bracket. So I have sent that to the fabricator in Texas to say, make me one of these, thank you very much, so that I can get lawn tractor number 2 configured the way lawn tractor number 1 is. And the third thing simultaneously working on is the electronics box for tractor number 1. So recently I've added these external USB ports, which are effectively just connected over to this USB hub. And so on the left side is ODOM, I'm sorry, this is the right side, or would be the right side. ODOM right, steer angle, and oh, why can't I remember what the third one is hooked to? Oh, servo control, transmission servo control. And then on the right, I still need to install one on the other side for the left ODOM control. And output from this at the moment is the wire for the GPS and This, you can see that antenna, which comes out here, is for Wi-Fi. You can see this antenna is for correction data, so we're going to see whether that works very well or not. Hoping it does. So that's where I'm at. I still have to put the kill switch, the radio frequency based kill switch in here, and a relay switch for the kill switch. So those are things that are not yet done. So a little bit of progress, ever so slow, but that's what I'm still working on.
That that Wi-Fi module on your Raspberry Pi with the external antenna, have you done anything to verify if that works better than the one on the board, or you just simply have hooked up and assume it's going to work better?
Have not tested. I mean, you mean like haven't tested it, Jeff? I just I was having trouble before, and I'm not having trouble now. So that's the extent of my testing. So it's not like I measured the, what is it, the RSSI signal or anything like that.
Yeah, I just wonder if you got drastic improvement by adding the external antenna.
I mean, for me, it was noticeable because I couldn't really have the tractor sitting in my garage and sit at the kitchen table and have it connect reliably. Now I can, but that's completely anecdotal, unscientific. That's what's going on with me.
Hey Al, on your USBs, so you have a number. I'm just looking at what you've done. It's really good, and so I'm wondering if I can steal some ideas to help my project. The USBs are yours all powered USBs?
Yes, if I can get my screen shared again. PowerPoint slide seems to be taking over. Where's Zoom? Come back, Zoom. Hold on, getting sharing back up.
There it goes.
So, yeah, but now I know. Now I know how to fix that.
So maybe you have the red
So
ones.
this is a powered USB hub, and it's getting power from this 12 volt distribution box. So on the side here, you really can't see it. There's an Anderson power pole input. So 12 volts coming from the battery goes up to the fuse control. One of those lines is coming over here and powering this powered USB port. This USB line is coming down. I haven't trimmed this and connected into the Raspberry Pi.
And does that work pretty well, or you haven't had any problems that you know of from that?
Matt's approach is different than mine. I've sort of liked the notion of trying to do everything via USB. I think it's going to take some field testing to figure out whether or not it's resilient enough. Because I'm nervous about, one of these USBs is going to be plugged into the front angle sensor, and the total, length of that line is probably 3 feet. A little bit nervous how that's all going to work.
Yeah.
We had a presenter talk about opto isolators for the servo, for the transmission control. I mean, haven't had any problems at the moment talking USB to the Teensy that's in the transmission control servo. I'm a little bit nervous about whether that's going to be resilient or not, but so far so good.
You know what the difference is? Some of those USB ports look to be red and the rest are blue. Do you know what's the red versus blue?
Yeah, this is available on Amazon. I think I probably paid $30 for it. So the blue ones have data, the red ones are power only. So you can see one line is coming down to the Raspberry Pi and it's power only.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I think it's USB related, although I don't know exactly how to test USB communication to know whether it's working or not, but I seem to get, I was trying to use cameras, USB cameras, in addition to the motor controllers running off of USB, and so I was getting up into the 8 to 10 USB ports on one computer, and I even tried different devices like this that would, kind of push some of that off of the computer, so they weren't all, because I have 6 USB ports on the computer I'm using, and but when I got up to 8 or 10, it seemed like somewhere in there it starts to be a problem, and so I don't know. I'm thinking maybe I need to, like you were saying, whether the resiliency is there with USBs, and I'm wondering if I should be trying some other kind of connector. But I haven't done it yet, so I was just curious what your experience was.
Yeah, I mean, I still have a couple of ports on the Raspberry Pi and 3 ports here. What's not shown here is the hooking up the USB the 8-channel relay or the left ODOM. So, I'm going to max out pretty soon, but at the moment, I'm good.
Well, it looks really good.
One of the benefits was simply wire management, right? It looks like a mess now, but imagine if it was all individually wired.
Yeah, exactly.
So 3 oars in the water at the moment. You can imagine how straight the boat's going to go with 3 oars in the water. But I'm hoping I'm pretty satisfied with where the dimensions are for this, so I'm hoping to send this off to my welder in Texas and have him try to replicate that as well. So hopefully that box will go out tomorrow, hopefully.
Is that Super Servo? Is a link to that or a description of which one that is? Is that in the Google directory, or do you have a link to what server that is?
I don't know if I've updated my bill of materials with the 500 or not. This is the 500. I actually have a couple of different versions. One is the 200, I think, or was it 200? They went 200, 300, and 500. I'm not sure, but I realized I was buying the 500 when I last bought that one. Let me see if I can find where I bought that. Or what's in my bill of materials. Almost there. I'm not seeing it right off the bat. Looks like I need to add that in. Here's the Power Hub, 37 bucks for the Power Hub. That's there. That's Amazon purchase. Huh. I'm surprised you didn't have that in there. Yeah, I still had the 200. But that's not what I have now. I've got the 500. So the 200 cost 64 bucks when I put that in there.
Yeah, that's okay. We don't have to find it now. I was just curious. I found one that looks a lot like your picture, or the one you held up, but it's from.
Yeah, this is what I get when I click on the link that's in my bill of material. It's the 500. Price has gone up too.
And does that have the potentiometer for the sensor inside or the other one?
I mean, I see on the screen, I don't know if you can see that or not, there's a signal line coming out. Is that your question, Matt?
No.
Ask your question a different way.
So Jeff was doing some research on these early on and found the encoder, the digital encoder that shows you the position of the arm. And that's the same digital encoder that you're using on your lawn tractor. Are you familiar with that one?
I don't know whether it's the same as the model that Jeff is using or not.
Jeff, you're on mute.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some of these have a potentiometer that tells you your encoder feedback, and some of them have that A to D, that or angle sensor that Al is using on his wheel encoder. I was just wondering if you know, is there a certain brand or is there a certain one that uses the potentiometer instead?
Those ones that I have that are not in a case, those have potentiometers.
Okay.
Yeah, the only one I know about is the Super 200 that has that magnetic sensor like Al has, and otherwise on the 500 you'd have to open it up and look to see what's in there, unless you can find somebody that's torn one apart to check it out.
Yeah, here's the, I mean, you probably can't see that very well, but I mean, there is a picture of the control board that's in there. That's the same control board. And I believe it's that chip is the magnetic
Can you
rotation
zoom in?
sensor.
Can you zoom in on that?
Not liking me to do that. Nope, don't know. Control zoom's not getting me there. I can do it another way. Very grainy, but that's the same layout and everything as the 200. The only difference is it says big here.
So that's probably the magnetic sensor on that board then. The other ones that have the potentiometer is actually a hole in the board where you can see the shaft sticking through, but I don't see that anywhere. So it does look like the one in the Super 200.
And this is the Teensy connects in over here to, you know, to get me to USB, which gets me back to. So Alan, just as a reminder, this inside of this servo, I mean, will be a Teensy, and this output line will be clipped, and what will come out is a USB connection that's connected to the Teensy, and the Teensy will be connected into the signal line here. So you send the command to the Teensy then sends command to this, and the transmission moves. If all goes well. I mean, it's working on the 200 and the lawn tractor I have here. Okay, I'm going to stop blathering on and let somebody else talk. Jeff, what's going on in your world?
Well, I've been playing with my new Windows laptop and trying to get my development system for my eval board running, and I haven't had a lot of luck with that. After spending 2 days on it, I finally just deleted everything, and then instead of having 2 or 3 packages loaded, somebody was alluding to the fact that maybe just a single package would work. So I loaded that up last night, and it does seem to have the compiler and the little setup tool to set the pins and the configuration and everything. And it looks like it's compiling, but at the point when I say download to the board, it just says that it died on me. So I'm not sure, you know, like it jumped off in the middle of nowhere. So I don't know what's wrong with that. So I'll have to, so I'm still at the point where I can't change the code on the robot, and I don't want to talk to that board, because if I reprogram it, then it's not going to move until I get all this figured out. So I got the extra board laying around here that was, how come the green on that doesn't become transparent? Oh, there it is. It's trying. Anyway, so I'm trying to talk to this board, and it's not working so far. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. If I can't change code, it's not gonna improve too much. So.
Cool. You want to talk about your green screen?
Well, I've got a green screen. If I go to this setting, video settings, virtual background, there's it should be showing up as green now. And you look at it, yeah. So there's my green screen hanging out behind me, and you just click on the pictures down here, and it puts up whatever picture you want. So it's I think the piece of cloth was like somewhere between $10 to $14, depending where you order it. And then I got like $20 worth of hardware to hold it up, and it's like a piece of 3/4 inch electrical conduit that's 10 feet long, and I bought a couple brackets in the curtain section at Menards, and that's what's holding the thing up. So, and they kept going on and on about, oh, when you do this, you got to make sure there's no wrinkles in it and there's no shadows. And I just hooked it up, and I just put it up there and didn't do anything to it, and it's working. So it's probably not quite as critical as everybody seemed to think it was.
That's pretty neat.
So you can see by just looking at it, see it's got wrinkles in it, and if I put shadows, so I can make shadows. Let me see what that does. You can kind of see shadows back there on the weeds.
Not much.
Yeah. So anyway, I was pretty happy with it after I got set up, and the main reason was if I use that other software to do the YouTube videos, that there you can actually put live video in the background, so you can have something going on. So one guy has a camera over his desk. He's got a desktop view, an overhead view. So you'd have like a camera pointing down at your board like this, say maybe off in the corner here. Let's see, this way. Then you could have a picture of that, and then he had, like, say over on the side, he would have a picture of his the actual code that's running. So I was just going to experiment with all this stuff and see what it does. So for no more than this cost me, and I had some crappy looking closet doors there before, so now it looks better. So that's what I've been doing with that.
Matt, anything to share today?
More fun. Working with robots, playing around with the GPS. trying to get the corrections out of that. Thanks, Jeff, for the suggestion of using that string to string out of RTK-lib. That's pretty cool. So you can receive I can receive the correction data, but I haven't been able to get an RTK fix yet. So I've got some other issues.
Actually,
Would you-
on that, if you go into your F9P, so you hook up that what do you call it, U Center software, you can go in. There's a screen that'll show you the incoming correction data, so you can see if it's actually making it in or not. There might have been a trick to that. Somewhere you have to go in and you have to say, turn on messages. So you say, output a certain message to the screen.
That would
So
be
it's-
extremely helpful. I can, from the string to string, I put it to a file, and then I looked like I was getting the RTCM data, and then I'm piping it back out on another serial port to the other GPS. So doing like a bench test right now. But if I could somehow monitor the rover GPS to see if the correction data got there, that would be helpful.
So let's see, it says configure. If you go to the one, open a message window.
Like you want to view the messages or configure messages?
Well, up at the top there, you got the little icons. One says a message view. They go, yeah, how about that one right there? It says messages RTCM3. No, that's actually which ones you're going to output, I believe.
What software are you displaying this from?
This is U Center. So this is the software you use to configure the F9P U blocks.
I can't remember now. That one that said RTCM3, open that one again. What's it? Is that the one you just showed?
This one, I basically have turned all of these on. So the GPS is outputting all of these types of RTCM data.
Okay.
And then I'm sending it to the rover GPS. But I can't get that rover GPS on the U blocks. It has that RTK LED and it won't ever turn off. And then the NEMA, I look at the NEMA NavSat, I look for the, fixed type and it's stuck at 1. And I think RTK should be 3 or 4. Yeah, 3,
Yes.
and then float is 4.
Scroll down to the bottom of the screen where it says Mon. What do you have under monitor? How about go down a couple where it says RXM receiver management. There, the one that says RTCM there. Click on that one, what comes up. Okay, so sometimes, it's got that thing at the bottom where it says either show it once or click on the thing that pulls it. Well, I found that you have to go in sometimes and say, turn on an output message. So you'd say output over USB, and you might want to say, is RTCM? Anyway, if it was running, then it shows like, it would say like 1084 and however many messages are received. And if it says CRC passed, then that's good. So that's where you look to see this stuff. Now, whether or not you got to go turn on that other message to get that to show up, I can't remember now. There's 2 or 3 things that seems like it should work, but you come and look at it and you can't see anything. But so how are you getting the your data into the receiver? So on your rover, how you getting the data into that?
So on the rover side, just for the bench test, I am receiving the RTCM on a serial port, and then I just do string to string and then back out a serial port. And then on the Arduino Simple, it has it has the USB port for the radio. And so I'm sending in the corrections to the radio side, and then I just pulled out the radio and I connected the RX and TX with a jumper. And so the RTCM data is supposed to go directly into the F9P chip.
Look at that hard enough to see where they say connect the transmit and the receive together. That only goes one direction, and I can't remember if it's input or output. They did something funny, and that's just a hack they made to get around that. So verify that that's actually working. I'm trying to think, how can you look at the data?
So when I receive the RTCM data, I can write that to a file and then look at that file, and then I'm sending that data back out to the USB. And so it's sending the corrections every once a second. And on the rover GPS, there is two little LEDs that says GPS to Zigbee or XB, and then XB to GPS. And both of those are pulsing at once a second. So, but I still don't get RTK fix. So this
Okay.
being able to see on the rover side what the GPS is receiving is helpful. It's a good debug.
So somewhere in there, you have to tell it that you are receiving correction data on UART2. So the first screen you had pulled up that was something about ports. So if you look under, okay, so UART2, protocol in.
Oh, wait, sorry.
You-
It won't change because I'm not connected, but
Okay.
I did configure UART2 to receive in RTCM3 data.
Okay, you might want to, where it says protocol out, you might want to turn that off if you can say none or something. Otherwise, it outputs it and reads it right back in again. So,
Okay.
so if indeed connecting to that other USB port will receive data, and I can't remember, you'd have to go look at that hack and see what they say, whether it's outputting data or inputting data over that. You say your lights flash. If you plug that in and send data to it, you can see the lights flash, or is it the lights just flash whether anything's plugged into that or not? The USB's plugged in.
I could check, but I think it's when it's plugged in, because on the base station side, it will have GPS to XB, and that's flashing once a second, just that one LED. And on the rover side, both of them are pulsing very fast, but once a second.
Okay. Otherwise, what I do is I've got another thing you can do. It's got those two UARTs that come out to what they call the Arduino pins. So you got UART1 and UART2 on those. If you decide to use those, you have to hook up there. There's a pin called IO ref, and you have to either put 3.3 volts on that or 5 volts to match whatever your logic is you're hooking up. That's some kind of level translator you have to have hooked up. So you can talk to those too. So you've got that UART1 that's not connected to anything. And I was putting the Swift nav data in through that. And I don't remember how I did my, because I've never had one of the radios plugged into the board. And I looked at that long enough to realize that they screwed that up. There's like a multiplexer on the back of the board. And when you hook up your USB, somehow it connects that and rewires it. But they didn't think far enough ahead to make that that USB to be fully functional on that extra USB that's on there. So possibly when you get the whole thing hooked back up, go look at that thing that says RTCM input. I was trying to think if there's another way, because you can say open terminal windows, but I don't know if you can say specifically get that from, say, UART2 or, I think the only thing I found was that screen that will show you the actual RTCM messages coming in and whether they're valid or not.
I think that would be a grid check. I can get it wired up again and then take a look at that screen.
And I'm probably in a situation where if I just unplug my cable on my robot and plug it into my new laptop, I might be able to get this talking well enough. I can look at that and see what it takes to get that to run.
So that string to string, I thought was pretty nice. I do definitely want to have the Ntrip server, but I'm just going to take in the RTCM data from the base station GPS and then pipe that out over a port on the IP address. And then on the rover side, I'll connect to that IP address and port to get the data. Ideally, go to Ntrip server, then on the rover side, get that and then go. So,
can have one base station for multiple robots, but not quite there yet.
Yeah, it all sounds reasonable. And as you point out, just a matter of tracking down and getting the actual configuration set up. So after the meeting, I'll hook mine up and see if I can talk to it and see if I can figure out how to see that data.
Matt, you had the floor. Anything else on your side?
You want to see a hacky way to mount that servo motor?
Absolutely.
I don't know what we want to call it, but there's a
MacGyver.
MacGyver approach. I'll show you this one.
Because I was looking at your photo and I was wondering if you could move.
So this may be a little hard to orient what you're looking at, but this is a Super Servo 200 mounted on the very back plane of the pump tractor. So it's tucked in behind, and then it has about 6 inches for this little lever arm to control this forward reverse lever. And
the thought I had is if you moved, you know how you have your control arm on what we will call the right side of, if you move that to the left side, I'm just wondering if there could be more space to move the whole servo. Oh no, you've got that, the rod on the bottom that controls putting the transmission in neutral.
yep, free wheel.
Is that in the way of moving the servo, if you could, to the left in this photo?
Yeah, there's really no room on this side. I can't flip it the other direction and mount it over here.
And you can't move it to the left anymore. Even if you wanted to, you couldn't move it to the left anymore because of the neutral shaft, control shaft, right?
Right, you kind of pinned in there.
Yeah. I mean, it works.
And then if you want to see the mounting bracket, it was a $2 mounting bracket from Home Depot.
I know,
And
I
just
know.
basically
You're a better
cut
MacGyver
here,
than me.
cut it in half, cut it here. And then I got 2 big plates and just drill holes in them, here, and then mount it to the back.
There you go.
And this arm cost about $3, and these are probably another $5. So $10, you can mount that thing on there. This is the low-tech way. Before there was high-tech, there had to be low-tech. So this is the low-tech version.
Mine's not better. I'm wondering, can you bring your picture back up?
Mm-hmm. It does seem to be pretty protected back there.
Because the Servo 500 has got a slightly larger footprint, but I think it's just in this setting it would be top to bottom. So I think it would still, I think you could do a 500 back there as well.
I was trying to cram everything together, and so the height is sort of limited because I have the battery mounted right on top of this, just like an inch above that fan. So that was kind of the limit on the height, and then you're really pinned in there with that neutral lever.
Personally, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that approach. You said it's about 1/8 of an inch between the servo and the fan blade?
1/4 of an inch. Yeah.
1/4 of an inch.
Yeah. But it's out of the way.
Yeah, it's compact as heck.
$2 bracket.
I know, I know. Alan, let's just be clear. If you want to do it quick and inexpensively, you follow Mr. Droder there.
Jeff always has good ideas too. So.
Yeah, that's true. If you want slow, complicated, then I'm your guy. Shoot. Alan, anything to share today?
No, I'm just listening in.
Okay, guys, I think that'll be a wrap unless somebody's got something else. Any more?
Okay, I'll show you one video of a tomato plant grafter. So once we get our robots moving around, we definitely need machines like this. So it's taking a hardy root stock and then grafting the tomato plant on there. Semi-autonomous.
And the rootstock is what species?
I don't know what species they're using. I just thought this machine was pretty amazing.
That is pretty good.
Are they using super glue? Is that how they attach it?
Or just those little clips, maybe.
Huh.
Huh. It's amazing.
Yeah, can you go back and show that again?
Okay.
Maybe it is just physically those.
It has like a little clip that holds it together.
Can you press the slow down button?
Which part do you want to see?
Right there.
Yeah, that.
So right now they're separated, and then the clip comes.
Yeah, so it's just a. I think it's just all pressure. And these guys are where?
I don't know.
American Grafting, 2009. That's some time ago.
Yeah.
All right.
There's lots of room for robotics in agriculture at every level.
We just need a few of them. Mr. Droder, just need a few of them.
Weeding robot.
Okay, guys, have a great weekend. I'll see you on the Slack channel.
Thanks, everybody. Good stuff.
Okay.